Oh, that'll be a fun start for the video.
It's a really good angle to just really...
Up the nose. Luke will enjoy that. There. All right. Okay, so we're finding the zero of the function, so you just set it equal to 0 and solve for x. And we're supposed to say, is it a function? Yes. Because we're not dividing by x or anything on it, so it is a function. Maybe it'd be easy if we just went through at the beginning and said which ones are not functions. Is number 2 a function? Oh boy. Yes. Okay, what did I say was not a function? What did I say a couple minutes ago?
Same thing, like it's not a polynomial, it's not a function.
Or, oh, yeah, sorry. It's, the question, I said it wrong. The question is state whether the function is a polynomial function. So that's what I was talking about earlier. I said, yeah, I just said function. A function could be anything. This could be a function. So that was my bad. This could be a function, yes, but it's not a polynomial function because we're dividing by a. Now I get why you guys were confused. Okay, so is number 2 a polynomial function?
Yes.
Yes. 3? 3 is yes. 4? No. 5? No. 6?
Yes.
Yes. 7? 8? 9? 10? 11? 12. So we only had 2 no's, right? 4 and 5. Okay, number 3. So it's yes, it is a function. I did it again. It's a polynomial function. What are the zeros of a function? How do I find the zeros?
0 equals 9.
Yeah. What do you think that means?
Minus 9. Wait, no, because it's not.
No, yeah, there are none. Number 5 was one of our no's. Divided by x. Okay. Well, you guys know that, what is like 0 over 5? 0. So on number 5, if we can turn the numerator into a 0, the whole thing will turn into a 0. Does that make sense? If I can make x squared minus 3x plus 4 equal to 0, then the whole thing will be a 0 because 0 divided by whatever doesn't matter. So the top just needs to be a 0. However, if you get an answer that makes the denominator a 0, that's a no-no, and we got to throw it out. So we'll just check our answers. What's a good way to solve this? Just did this last chapter. I took a test on it. Quadratic formula, or does this one factor? Actually, it doesn't. I thought I was going to. Fooled me. Oh, because I wrote it wrong. Yeah. Now it factors. Because what multiplies into -4, that adds up to -3. -4 and 1. So what x values make these 0? Okay, we just gotta make sure neither of those make the denominator 0. Does either of those make the denominator 0?
Cooper's here.
The only thing that can make the denominator 0 is plus or minus I. Okay? If you plug in -1 squared is plus 1 plus 1. So no, it does not make, so these are both okay is what I'm saying. So the two zeros of the function are 4 and -1. Why don't you guys do number 2 or 4 or whatever? Sorry, I need to attend this. Do you want to take a test today or tomorrow? Okay, I'm not supposed to check your formulas to make sure they're right. Yeah. We're on, page 56 there. Number 7. Okay, 7 was a polynomial function, so that was a yes. And execute. Uh-oh, this one might cause us trouble. Maybe not. You guys are geniuses, so no problem, right?
Oh, take an X out.
Take an X out. Hey. Been a while since we did it, so I didn't know if you guys would think of it. You can take an X out. It looks like that. You put it outside the parentheses. Should really, when you're factoring, you should always check that first. Now what?
The thing where it's like the X minus 3 and X plus 3.
Right. In the parentheses, we have what I call, the book calls the difference of squares, I call square minus a square. Because they both have square roots. Square root is x and 3. So you do one with an x minus 3 and one with an x plus 3. What x values would make these factors equal to 0? 0 plus or minus 3. Oh boy, another fun one. Number 9. You guys are gonna love this one. P x squared plus. So is 9 a polynomial function? So Cooper, a polynomial function is just, a polynomial can be almost anything except for you can't divide by a variable. So this is not a polynomial or a polynomial function. This is not a polynomial function because it means divide by x squared. So we talked about 4 and 5 were just the two that were no's, not polynomial functions. Okay, number 9, px squared plus r plus qx. And let me put this over here. Alright. Any ideas? And set it equals 0. No bright ideas? Can I actually solve this all the way down to numbers? Yeah. Okay. Anybody know where I'm going with this yet? Quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. For some reason the old smart board is kind of smarter than this one. In some quite in a number of ways. All right. Number 11 looks more like number 7. So it's x cubed plus 2x squared. So it's a yes. X cubed plus 2x squared plus x. Finding the 0 of the function, so we set it equal to 0. How do I solve that for x? Take an x out. Yeah, something comes out of all those. So take an x out. What happens when we take an x out of x? 1. Because when I say take it out, we're really dividing it out. And x divided by x is 1, not nothing. Does this in here factor? Now, again, if it doesn't factor, you could still use quadratic formula just on that part. But does it factor? Yeah, because what goes into 1 adds up to 2. 1 and 1. So what x values make these factors turn into 0? 0 and negative 1. Negative 1 is what's called a double root, which doesn't really matter right now, but later on when we do some graph stuff, that will matter. 0 and negative 1. Number 13. Oh, we might have to skip that one. Yeah, I guess we can do it. Yeah, it's a 2-day sign. It's okay. We can do it. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. It says show that the expression blah 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 can be simplified to x squared minus 1. Any guesses of how we could do that? Does this ring any bells? Actually, we could do synthetic division. You guys remember synthetic? That's actually, yeah, that thing. That's Friday's assignment is synthetic, so we're not, I'm not supposed to top that yet this year, I guess. But since I got long division set up, we'll do synthetic on Friday. So x times what equals x to the third?
X squared plus.
And then you do x squared times this. X squared times x is x cubed. Whoops. These should always like be the same. X squared times 2 is 2x squared. And you subtract the bottom line like that. In this case, it would go away. Bring down the next thing and start over. So, since this all canceled out, usually you'll have something right here and you start over, but since it all canceled out, really I kind of need to bring the next thing down too, because this doesn't really do anything. Yoink. Alright, so x times what equals negative x? Negative 1. And then if I multiply that, look at that, I get the same thing. Now I'm subtracting this line, so they become pluses and no remainder. So it simplifies to this. I can't remember what their next question was, but what we're saying is that this is what we started with. We're saying that's the same thing as this. But there is one important difference. On this one, negative 2 does not work. And on this one, it does. So, no matter what x I plug into this one, like say I plug in 752. If I plug it in here, I will get the exact same answer as plugging it in right there. This is a simplified version of this. I just divided it to that. The only difference is negative 2 will not work on here. So even though I could get an answer for negative 2 over here, it doesn't actually work in the original. It's kind of a little bit weird, but that's what happens. Maybe that's the question on B. I don't remember what the question on B was, so let's look at it. Explain why the first expression is not a polynomial, but the second is. Oh, well, that's not the question. So, why is the first thing on A not a polynomial? Yeah. They put, because the first expression has x plus 2 in the denominator, it's not a polynomial. Yeah, just variable in the denominator. That's probably better answer. Let's say variable in the denominator. Give you the value. Okay, kind of talked about this. Give the values of x, if any, for which each expression is undefined. So there is, for this expression, there's no limits. There's nothing I could plug in here that wouldn't work. But what doesn't work over here? Negative 2. So I'll just put negative 2 for the original. Dividing by 0 does not make sense. It is undefined. Is 14 the same thing? Yeah, kind of. 14 is kind of like number 5 on B because you have to solve it for the zeros of the function. But so what you should do is divide first. If you remember synthetic division, you can try it, but you need to divide first so it'll turn it into a quadratic equation that you can solve, kind of like we did on 13a. That's probably enough for, that's a good stopping point. Why don't you guys try those even?